Hey guys, welcome to IS Guide. See, in this video, we'll be discussing sociology optional 75 days course, online course for 2018 civil service exam. And this is day 1 and part 2 we will be discussing in this video. Okay, and the date is 18th of August 2017. Okay, let's see what we'll be discussing in this part 2. See, the first concept we'll be discussing is the factors which favor the emergence of sociology. Okay, actually there were number of factors which favored the emergence of sociology and growth of sociology in 19th century. Okay, these factors are discussed below. Okay, one by one we are going to discuss the factors. The first factor, rapid social changes that followed the industrial revolution. Okay, influenced the early thinkers of Europe, particularly France and Germany, to think about sociology. Okay, rapid social changes were there due to industrial revolution, due to the factory system. Okay, and this industrial revolution radically altered the social structure in the western countries. Okay, mainly in France and Germany. Okay, in the traditional society, certain kind of social structure was there. Okay, the family was unit of production as well as unit of consumption. That was altered, actually radically altered social structure. So social thinkers, they began to think what is happening. Okay, how to solve the problems which is coming due to the industrial revolution, how to solve the problems of this social how to solve the problems of the society, what is the changes which is taking place. Okay, this prompted for the study of sociology. Okay, agricultural societies, no, they were actually transformed into industrial societies. Before industrialization, people were doing agricultural activity, but after industrialization they are doing factory works. You tell me, in India, IT was when was IT developed? Okay, IT was developed 2 decades earlier. Okay, before that IT was not there in India. Okay, peoples were depending upon the agricultural activities. Okay, you just tell me, in 1947 when independence came, around 80% of the India's population was dependent on agriculture. But today, okay, it is lessened, no? Okay, it is lessened actually. 30%, I think, roughly 30% are dependent on agriculture today. But near independence, 80%. Okay, as the industrialization develops in any country, agricultural activity decreases, industrial activity increases. That is what it happened in France and Germany. Agricultural societies were transformed into industrial societies. Rural societies became urban societies. That means villages became urban due to industrialization. Due to factory system, family became a unit of consumption rather than unit of production. Okay, I want to explain this one. What is this unit of production and unit of consumption? See, in rural areas, okay, how the life was going on, what the peoples were consuming. That means how they were actually generating the food and all. In rural societies, we know that they were generating the food on their own. Okay, they were growing crops. Okay, they were maintaining the crops, and they were harvesting, and they were consuming that one in home. That is known as unit of production. And as well, sofas, okay, everything they were preparing in forest made products. Okay, they are only preparing house also, they are only constructing with mud. Okay, raw mud and stones, they are only constructing in rural cities. Okay, I'm sorry, in rural areas they are only constructing house. Okay, they are not employing the labors. So unit of production as well as unit of consumption is family only in rural areas. But when it comes to urban areas, no. When it comes to urban areas, you tell me whether in urban cities people will construct their home on their own. No, they will employ laborers are there. They will call the laborers. They will pay money, and they will tell them to construct the house for their own. Okay, they will pay a certain amount, and they will tell, come and construct house for us, like that. Okay, and also the food, no, in the cities, urban cities. Okay, will you tell me how the food is going to consume? Okay, definitely in urban cities also the food will be made in home only, but where the crops and all, we will go and buy in the market. In the market we'll buy crops. Okay, we are not going to grow in urban cities. That is known as unit of consumption. This factory system, no, it replaced unit of production to unit of consumption. We don't have anything, everything we will buy from the market. Okay, that is known as unit of consumption. Okay, so unit of production replaced unit of consumption due to factory system. Okay, and we can say that the cities, no, they threw up slums actually, where the living condition of the people were appalling. In slums, no, you may tell that poor people, no, they suffer higher degree of exploitation in cities than in villages. People in villages, they will think that if we go to cities, our quality of life increases. That is a false concept. Okay, whenever the rural peoples come to cities to work, their their quality of life decreases actually. They end up in living slums because they don't have anything, they don't own anything in cities. Okay, they are considered as laborers. Okay, who don't have their own house, so they want to they will live in slums. In slums, no, the big headache of slums is they are not paying taxes. Okay, you tell me where slum people, they don't pay tax. Okay, that is known as push factor. In geography, people should be studying that push factor. Okay, push factor means in villages no employment is there, that is the reason they are forced to come to cities and work. In cities, they are end up in living in slums. Nobody will give them AC house. Come on, you do construction work, we will give you AC house. Who is giving? They're staying in slums and doing all the construction work, road repairing work, village peoples, because of they don't have employment in the village. So cities threw up slums where living condition was appalling. That means not good. Living condition was not good. To solve that living condition, sociology came into existence. Sociologists actually think. They thought what can be done to improve their living condition. That is the reason sociology emerged. Okay, the early sociologists, know, they were actually they were concerned with the sweeping changes which is taking place, and offered their own explanation for these changes. Okay, Comte offered his own explanation what is the changes going on. Weber offered his own explanation. Marx offered his own explanation for the changes going on. Okay, all these changes, no, within the lifetime of a generation provided a backdrop for social analysis in the early stages. These were the reasons why sociology came into existence. The first reason. Okay, now let's move to the second reason. The second reason is due to the discoveries in science and technology, S&T. Okay, innovations in industry, communication, transport facility, and almost every field of life that took place in Europe in 19th century now gave encouragement for social science and sociology. Okay, definitely S&T, then communication, transportation. Okay, these were responsible for the encouragement of study of social sciences. Okay, see, the development in science now proved that with the proper application of scientific methods, human mind was capable of explaining many phenomena on natural world which was hitherto considered inexplicable. That means, see, before science and technology in traditional societies, people were actually believing on myths, actually myths, what we'll be calling it as myths. Science and technology was not there, no. Natural phenomena, for example, thunder, rain was coming, thunder was coming, lightning was coming. Okay, all these things, the traditional human being, they were thinking that this is the act of God. This is the act of God, this is the act of supernatural. Like that they were thinking. But due to the emergence of science and technology, they came to know this is not the act of God. Thunder is not the act of God. The phenomena of raining is not act of God. The phenomena of lightning in the sky is not act of God. It is due to the scientific phenomena which is occurring in the space. That was explained by science and technology. Okay, so people got to realize, okay, science and technology explaining all natural phenomena, so science and technology should also explain the condition of our life. That was the thinking what was going on in the 19th century in Europe. Okay, people began to think like that. Okay, we are explaining physics concept, we are explaining chemistry concept, let us explain human behavior concept also. This type of thinking was going on. Okay, they were thinking that the same method what we apply in the physical science, no, physics, chemistry, mathematics, if the same methods if applied in social phenomena, this could be profitable. They were thinking like that. It would be profitable, no? Why we are thinking always about physics, chemistry and all? Let us think about ourselves. Let us think why we behave like this in a certain circumstances, how to solve the poverty problem. Let us think, let us apply scientific methods. Like that people were thinking. Okay, and it was also thought that the use of scientific methods, society could address itself to its own problem. Okay, by use of scientific uh, thinking only, society could address itself to the problems which is occurring in the society. Like that they were thinking. Okay, and out of the many scientific developments, the one which influenced sociology was theory of evolution, put forward by Darwin. Okay, theory of evolution was definitely influenced for the sociologist. And also another theory is there, that is theory of species. Okay, and early evolutionary approach of Lamarck. All these are the theories which actually influenced the sociologist to bring up the sociology, the study of sociology on scientific lines. Okay, and also the biological theories of Comte and Spencer was also inspired actually. Okay, the social thoughts of Comte, Spencer was inspired by the biological theories of evolution. Okay, there are how many theories? Evolutionary theory put forward by Darwin, the origin of species, evolutionary theory put forward by Lamarck, and biological theories which influenced Comte and Spencer. All these are the theories responsible for thinking of bringing sociology as a discipline on scientific lines. Okay, this is the second major factor for the emergence of sociology. Okay, let's move for the third factor. See, in the third factor, it is the faster means of travel. Okay, very important, the faster means of travel. Today you can tell that telecommunication is there, no? Mobiles. Okay, today we cannot imagine life without mobile. How fast it is. Okay, we can contact anybody in the world. Internet. Okay, this is an example what I am teaching. Okay, I am sitting in the office, I am teaching here. All you people are sitting in your home and you are accessing the material which I have prepared. Okay, by referring too many books. Okay, you people are getting at one place, sitting in a room. Okay, this is also an example of faster means of travel when it comes to telecommunication. Okay, the faster means of travel opened up new areas of the world. Colonial administrators, missionaries, and traders traveled far and wide, each with his own missions and purpose. Okay, travel facility was facilitated. Okay, railways were developed. Due to railways, people know the administrators who live in different countries. Okay, the administrators, the religious and other kind of missionaries. Okay, the traders who want to sell their products, they traveled wide and far due to this traveling facility. Okay, when they traveled wide and far, no, actually they met with other culture peoples. If they belong to Asia, they travel to Africa, and in Africa they would meet other peoples who were having distinct culture. They began to thought, man, our culture is different, their culture is different. What is the actually difference between? Okay, this gave rise to the study of sociology. Traveling. Okay, many of the foreign travelers know they came to India, they settled here, and they become sociologists here. Okay, there are actually examples. Okay, many of the Indian people they go to other countries, they go to USA, they become actually some kind of sociologist there. Okay, we can take an example. Okay, maximum psychologist people from India are working in America. Okay, all these conditions actually emerged for the study of sociology. Okay, see, these travelers, missionaries and administrators know, after they traveled, they wrote extensively and interestingly about the societies and cultures of Africa, Asia and other places. Okay, first, no, the sociology emerged in France, western countries, France and England. From France and England, these administrators, travelers, they came to Africa. They came, they saw that, oh, in Africa this is the culture what is they are following, and they came to Asia. They thought that, oh, this is the culture, okay, this is the lifestyle what the peoples are following. Okay, they began to write in the books and they circulated the books. And after circulating, they came to know that, other peoples came to know that, oh, other they came to know that we are all, we are having distinct lifestyle and other country people are having different lifestyle due to these travelers only. Okay, their writing and observations provided the data for much of sociological thoughts. Whose writing? These people's travelers' writing and observations provided data for much sociological thoughts, and it also stimulated sociological interest in the study of culture. Earlier, to sociology, study of culture was not that much interested, but after sociology, due to the writing of these people, due to the writing of these peoples, it stimulated the interest to study culture of other countries also. Okay, actually this statement holds good for anthropology as well. Okay, like urban poverty, what is the urban poverty they are facing, appalling living condition for workers. Okay, appalling living condition in industrial societies for workers, industrial accidents, the problem of sickness, all these things they wrote nicely and they circulated. Okay, by second half of the 19th century, no, it was accepted that responsibility of tackling all these social problems vested with the state. Okay, definitely social problems should be solved by the state only. This concept, no, came in the 19th century only. You tell in India, okay, responsibility of health is taken by the state, no, the core responsibilities, immunization, polio, all things they will look after, no, state. They will put polio drops and all. That means this idea emerged in England and France in second half of 19th century only. Okay, before that it was not there, but second half of 19th century people began to think the responsibility of this kind of social problems, that is hospitals, abolition of unemployment, all this, no, state should take care of, like that they began to thought. Okay, the working condition, no, of working class, it was also appalling. That is the reason working class gained political importance at that time. They gathered the working class, it was appalling, no, they were not liking the condition of work, so certain standard working condition should be there. This should be the time, per day 8 hours we have to work. This kind of certain kind of agreement, this kind of certain kind of guidelines they brought up the working class. They also gained political importance in second half of 19th century. Why they got political importance means definitely due to universal franchise, one man one vote, universal franchise, they got political importance. Okay, the desire and effort to alleviate social problems of the day, that means of the 19th century, also acted as fillip to sociological studies. Okay, sociologists know they were mainly concerned to solve social problems like poverty, like unemployment, like suicide, okay, like crime rate. Okay, and after all, the first step in solving the problem is to understand it. Okay, and this was sociology was immense help to it. Sociology actually help people to understand the problem. Okay, the first test in first point in understanding a problem, solve problem, is solving it. Without understanding the question, how you will write the answer, you tell me. Okay, to understand the question itself, sociology is very important for sociologists. Okay, that's it about the travel thing, that is third point. Let's move to the next factor. The next factor is the intellectual forces operating in Europe in 19th century greatly encouraged the growth of sociology. Okay, this intellectual forces, no, which was operating in Europe in 19th century, they were actually rationalism, empiricism, humanitarianism, and idealism. Okay, these are the four intellectual forces which was operating in Europe. Okay, and let us see what is this rationalism which was existent in 19th century. See, actually rationalism, no, it believed in reason. Rationalism means based on reason, and held that use and application of reason was against superstition and dogma and encouraged inquiry. Okay, before rationalism, no, people were believing superstitious belief, some kind of false belief, superstition belief means, and they were also believing certain kind of dogma. Dogma is not good, I'm sorry, dogma is not true, then also they were believing. Okay, only after coming of this rationalism, people began to think in scientific lines. Okay, people began to think this not, why this dogma is there. Okay, why are we believing in superstition? This kind of reasoning was developed. The thinking, a new kind of thinking was emerging in the Europe. That is known as rationalism. Okay, and the second intellectual force is empirism. People gave importance to empirism. That means based on scientific methods. Rationalism based on reason, but empirism based on scientific methods in understanding the realities. And they also believed in ability of human mind to discover logical process operating in material world. Okay, that means empirism, it always insisted on collection of facts and evidences before formulating any propositions. See, you cannot tell in a certain faltu manner that this phenomena occurred in our society because of this. You can tell, but you have to give actually clear cut evidence for that one. Without giving evidence, how can you tell? Okay, certain years back now, one fellow, he told that I will develop the fuel petrol. I will develop the petrol from herbs. Okay, one scientist was there. He told I will develop petrol from herbs. Every scientist, they got confused. How it is possible to develop petrol from herbs? And when they told to demonstrate, he did not demonstrate. He was unwilling to tell anything. Okay, that kind of explanation, nobody is interested. If you are telling something, you should give suitable facts for that one. You should also give suitable evidence for that one. That is known as empirism. That is known as scientific method following. Okay, it should be based on collection of facts and evidences before formulating any proposition. That is known as empiricism. Okay, examples we can give. Durkheim, no, he used the concept of empirism for the study of suicide, the concept of suicide. The first person to use empirism, Durkheim, study of suicide. Okay, the first empirical work in sociology, actually, study of suicide by Durkheim. Okay, and the second other works of empirism, we can give examples of social survey, which was conducted in England. This social survey, no, it was conducted on England to collect poverty, the estimate of poverty. Okay, this was also based on empirism. Okay, what is the true extent of poverty which is there in 19th century in England? This was done by social survey. This social survey followed empirism. That means scientific method they followed to get true picture of what is the poverty level in England. Okay, that's empirism. Let's move on to the next intellectual force, that is humanitarianism. Okay, see, actually humanitarianism gave importance to something for alleviating the problems of poor. Alleviating means removing. Okay, they gave importance to removing the problems of poor, removing the problems of aged persons, removing the problems of sick, that is diseased person, removing the problems of unfortunate groups, like a backward caste group, example in India. Okay, all these problems, no, the removing all this is known as humanitarianism. Okay, as helping poor people, helping aged people, humanitarianism work. This also came in 19th century only. Okay, see, instead of putting blame on these people themselves, ascribing their miseries to their alleged sins, humanitarian focused on what could be done to help them by thought and action. Okay, this means instead of putting blame on these people's means, see, poor people, you go and ask anybody. Generally, if you go and ask why these people are poor people, they will tell because their qualities are like that. That is 100% false. Like that only people tell, because they don't have any solution. No, that's the reason they will tell poor people are poor because their quality is like that. Blame game actually. Okay, and if you go and tell why are these aged people suffering, like they are aged people, they are, why they are suffering means it is their fate, like that they will tell. If you go and ask why this unfortunate group, why this backward caste group are their condition is like that, they will tell because of their qualities their condition is like that. Okay, this is the general thinking of people outside. If you go and ask, that is the reason here they are telling, instead of putting blame on these people due to the ascription means based on birth, based on sex, based on religion, that is known as ascriptive nature. Based on something which is not acquired by them, blaming them is not good. Okay, if a boy born in high caste, see, what can he do? If a boy born in low caste, what can he do? Simply blaming for his low caste status. Okay, if a boy born in poor family, what can he do? Simply blaming his poor background, poor economic background. That is not good. Instead of blaming, we have to do humanitarian work. This was the thinking which was emerged in 19th century in Europe. Okay, that is the third intellectual force, humanitarianism. Okay, they thought that we can solve the problems of these people by thought and action. Let us apply our thought and action. That is known as humanitarianism. And the last intellectual forces which was operating, just a minute guys, and the last intellectual force which was operating is idealism. Okay, actually idealism stressed on ability of intellectuals to not only understand social problems but alter it to society's satisfaction, if not solve it. That means idealism stressed on altering social problems to social satisfaction. See, if you can't solve any problem, at least you have to put some satisfactory thing. Okay, so for example, we can take unemployment. See, if you are not able to solve this unemployment, what you can do, at least unemployment doles you can give, doles. Okay, in western countries they will give unemployment doles. If you are not able to give employment, at least unemployment doles they can give. Weekly money, unemployment doles means. Okay, for unemployed youths they will give this one. Okay, if they are not able to solve problem, at least they have to convert the problem into some certain kind of social satisfaction. If not solve it, that is the meaning of idealism. Example is unemployment. We cannot solve unemployment, it is a global problem. Okay, the government cannot give employment to everybody. If you are not able to give unemployment, certain kind of small doles employment, that is unemployment doles. Okay, monetary benefits you can give because you are not giving employment, no. But in India it is not there. Unemployment doles they will not give. Okay, this is known as idealism. See, idealism also meant a passionate commitment to one's idea. That is also known as idealism. Okay, these are the four intellectual forces which were operating in Europe, which actually prompted for the emergence of sociology. Okay, then let's go for the next concept, that is characteristics of social phenomena. Okay, see, let us discuss the characteristics of social phenomena in the part 3. Okay, let's discuss this in the part 3. That's it. This is the end of day 1 part 2. Okay, let's meet in the part 3. Okay, bye. Hey guys, see, this was just a limited edition of the course. To get all the videos, to get the full edition, you people need to enroll in this course. And to get yourself enrolled, you have to go to my blog. Okay, this is the address of my blog, iasguideindia.wordpress.com. You just go to this blog. All the enrollment details are there in this blog. Okay, even the enrollment form is there. Okay, you need to fill the enrollment form, send it to me, and get enrolled. Okay, then only you will be getting all the 75 days videos. Okay, you will be getting all the other features like test series. Okay, evaluation from my side. Okay, all those things you'll be getting only if you enroll in this course. Okay, that's it. Let's meet with the next video with some awesome contents. Okay, till then, bye.